Many years ago, in the beautiful city of Na, there lived a handsome Nigerian man named Ken. Ken was the only son of a prominent family in N, known as the Okafo family. The patriarch of the family had passed away, leaving behind his wife, Madame O.D., a formidable woman who flawlessly managed the family business. Despite being an able-bodied young man, Ken never seemed to venture out alone. Ken's striking good looks made him the desire of many young women. Yet he was always seen in the company of his sisters, Amaka and Ife. Even for something as simple as getting a haircut, his sisters were always by his side. People often speculated about why he never went anywhere alone, each person forming their own theories. The young women vying for his attention found it endearing, believing it showed he was family-oriented, a quality they thought would make him a great husband. One day, Ken went to the supermarket with Amaka and Ife to pick up a few things. As he approached the checkout counter, he suddenly became uneasy. The cashier, Onie, noticed his discomfort and reached out to steady him. "Are you okay?" she asked kindly. Before Onie could get an answer, Ife swiftly opened her bag, pulled out an unknown item, and slipped it into Ken's mouth. Instantly, he regained his composure. His sisters thanked Onie profusely and quickly left with their brother. A few days later, Ken returned to the supermarket with his sisters. This time, he sought out Onie. Smiling, he said, "My dear, thank you for the other day. You were very kind. Do you mind if I get your number? I'd love to get to know you better." Onie's heart fluttered. Who wouldn't want the attention of Ken, the only son and heir to a multi-million-dollar business? Overjoyed, she gave him her number without hesitation. That night, she lay awake replaying the moment in her mind, making sure her phone was fully charged in case he called. And just as she hoped, a few hours later, Ken did. They talked for hours, and Onie was ecstatic. Despite her excitement, she couldn't help but wonder, what would a wealthy, educated, and influential man like Ken see in a simple girl like her with only a secondary school education? But she chose not to overthink it. She would enjoy his attention for as long as it lasted. From that day on, Ken visited the supermarket more frequently, always in the company of his sisters. Amaka and Ife were incredibly kind to Onie, bringing her gifts and often teasing her. "Our wife, we hope you know that once you marry our brother, you won't work here anymore," they would say with warm smiles. Onie was surprised by how casually they referred to her as their future sister-in-law. Even more shocking was the respect they showed her, despite their vast differences in status. Both Amaka and Ife had master's degrees from prestigious universities abroad, and they belonged to one of the most respected families in Anambra State. Yet they treated her as their equal. Before Onie realized it, Ken had swept her off her feet. He asked her to resign from her job, promising her a monthly salary of 1 million naira. In the blink of an eye, she transitioned from a supermarket cashier earning 50,000 naira a month to a sophisticated young lady living in a luxurious apartment, complete with a police escort. However, something nagged at Onie. Ken's sisters were always around. Even on their dates, they never gave him any space. She felt like she was in a relationship with three people: Ken, Amaka, and Ife. Sometimes when she spoke to Ken on the phone, she could hear his sisters in the background. But she reassured herself that once they got married, things would change. The first time she met Ken's mother, Madame O.D., she was shocked by the warm welcome she received. The woman whom many feared as a tigress invited her to sit on her lap and even served her food. Onie was overjoyed. It all seemed too good to be true. She was about to marry the heir to a multi-million-dollar empire. However, her mother was less enthusiastic. "I think you should slow down," she warned. "This man is highly educated, yet he chose you over the wealthy, educated women in his league. Doesn't that seem odd? And his sisters shadowing him everywhere, doesn't that raise questions? Also, Anambra people rarely marry from Imo, yet they accepted you with open arms. That alone is a red flag." Onie dismissed her mother's concerns. "Mama, why can't you be happy for me? Other mothers would be proud that their daughter caught the attention of such a man," she retorted angrily. "I don't care what you think. I'm marrying Ken, and that's final." A few weeks later, Ken proposed, and Onie eagerly accepted. Within a month, they were married in a lavish ceremony. On their honeymoon, Ken's sisters tagged along but stayed in a separate chalet. For the first time, Onie had quality time alone with her husband. She was overjoyed. Ken was a good man, and she loved him. However, after returning from their honeymoon, Onie was shocked when Ken took her to his family home instead of their own house. "I thought we'd live alone," she questioned. "My love, I'm my mother's only son. It's only fair that I stay to take care of her. Besides, this house has over 20 rooms. My sisters will move out when they start their own families," Ken assured her. Reluctantly, Onie accepted the situation. However, she soon noticed something strange. Ken hardly ever went to work. His mother and sisters ran the business while he stayed home. This troubled her, but she let it slide. A few weeks later, she found out she was pregnant. Madame Od became extremely overprotective, constantly monitoring her diet and giving her mysterious pills. She even took Onie to a riverside for rituals, performed by a priestess. Onie was disturbed, but complied. One day, while out for a stroll, Ken suddenly froze, grinned strangely, and began scratching his body. He threw his sling bag aside, stripped off his clothes, and started running through the streets like a madman. A horrified crowd gathered, murmuring in shock. Onie, panicked, called Madame Od. "Mama, Ken is acting crazy in the middle of the street." "Did he take his medication?" Madame Od asked urgently. "Check his bag. Give him 2 pills, now. And no matter what happens, don't let him step into the market or he'll be mad for life." Onie followed her instructions, and within minutes, Ken calmed down. Upon returning home, the trauma sent Onie into labor. She gave birth to twin boys. Days later, when she confronted Ken, he finally confessed. "I'm sorry, Onie," he sobbed. "Madness runs in my family. My father, grandfather, and great-grandfather all had it. It only affects the male children. My mother was trying to prevent our sons from inheriting it. That's why my sisters always follow me around. That's why I still live in the family home. I take medication to suppress it, but I forgot for 2 days, and that's why I had that episode. I married you because I needed someone from a humble background who wouldn't question things. I'm so sorry." Onie was devastated. She had ignored all the red flags for wealth and status, and now she was trapped. Worse still, her twin boys might inherit the madness. She thought about leaving, but how would she raise 2 children alone? At least if she stayed, the family could help her manage the situation. She broke down in tears, wishing she could turn back time, but it was already too late. And that's the story of Onie and Ken. A love story turned nightmare. What do you think? Should Onie stay with Ken and his family, or leave to protect herself and her children? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe for more thrilling stories. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next one.